Check, check, quick sound check. Can everybody hear us loud and clear? What's going on, Coach Paul?
Everybody had a good weekend.
Welcome back.
Quite an exciting day.
Yeah, yes, it was.
Said no one.
Welcome back to At the Buzzer, our market recap. If this is your first time here, the goal of this segment is to review what happened in the markets for the day. We may talk about some markets that you have not traded before, but we believe our goal as traders is to identify opportunity. We want to see how we can take advantage of those opportunities while managing our risk. Can't hear Coach Paul? Hold on one second. Let me fix that. Give me an audio test real quick.
Checking.
There you go.
I can hear you loud and clear.
Should be good now. Our goal as traders is to identify opportunities, see how we can take advantage of those opportunities while managing our risk. This is our first time meeting. I'm Coach Jay, been a Topstep performance coach since June of 2023, and that is Coach Paul. Coach Paul, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Coach Paul. I've been with Topstep since April of 2023. I've been involved in the futures trading industry for 4 decades. I'm here to share some of my experiences, some wisdom, and assist you into becoming a better trader.
Awesome stuff. Thank you for that, Coach Paul. You are all our chat, our audience. Thanks for joining us each and every day that you do. We appreciate you being here. Let's get into the news. Pretty quiet on the economic calendar today. We know that it is Fed week. We have JOLTS number coming out tomorrow. We also do have the WASDE report out tomorrow. So if you are an ag trader, just be aware that the ag markets at 12 p.m. Eastern time, you probably don't want to be trading at that time, right? Let the number, if you want to trade after the number, let the dust settle. But trading during the WASDE, trading the ags during the WASDE report is like trading the NASDAQ during the Fed meeting on Wednesday or a CPI print.
Or both combined.
Right. Yeah. Definitely want to be careful there, but could present some opportunity to shake up some of the ag markets. So we will see some volatility there for sure during that time. Could be slow prior to it, but you can see what markets we have up here. Then we got the Fed rate decision. We know that's on Wednesday, so that's about it. As far as news goes outside of that, U.S. is allowing the NVIDIA H200 chip exports to China. That came out today, and we also have President Trump saying, I will be doing a one-rule executive order this week on AI. So just AI headlines still out there. We'll see exactly what that executive order means. But Coach Paul, anything else you got on the news?
No, just pretty slow, typical December waiting for the Fed. Other than that, I think the market reflected it. Not very much volatility, but there were some opportunities. So
definitely
let's begin.
Some opportunity. Let's take a look then at the quote board. As soon as I find the quote board, where'd you go? Come on.
Uh-oh.
Where's my quote board? Oh, no. Where did it go? Damn it. I think I lost it, chat.
No quote board.
I think it's gone. Hold on.
This hasn't happened for a while.
No, it hasn't happened. I was moving some things around. There it is. Okay, we got it.
It was behind the
crisis averted. Crisis averted. We're good. There are 36 different markets we can trade with Topstep accounts. And today, to the downside, we had crude oil down 2.08%. Heating oil down 2.83%, and natural gas, our biggest percentage mover to the downside, down 8.04%. Natural gas.
8%.
To the upside, we had hogs up 0.09%, micro Bitcoin up 1.55%, and micro Ethereum, our biggest percentage mover to the upside, up 3.53%. To talk about our big five, we had crude oil, we already mentioned, down 2.08%. The S&P down 0.35%. Gold down 0.54%. We mentioned natural gas down 0.804%, and the NASDAQ down just over 0.25%, down 0.28% on the day. Let's take a look at the S&P. Let's do the S&P. We always go to the NASDAQ first. S&P on a daily. What are we seeing here, Coach Paul?
Little weakness. Broke Friday's low. but a small range, some healthy selling, still positive looking chart, very light volume. So structure still looks bullish. Nothing much to add there. Maybe am I missing anything?
No, structure still looks bullish. This is the first day in a little while, though, on the daily that we have taken out a prior day's low. All last week, we saw the markets kind of channeling higher, and Hog and I were talking about this like little intermediate trend line we have here, just making higher lows. We broke that today, but structure still bullish. Maybe reluctantly bullish with the Fed meeting coming out this week, but on a higher time frame, this is still a market moving to the upside.
All right. Let's look at today's action.
Let's take a look then at the 30-minute. Ag Trader says, did I just see a Coach J fail an account pop-up? That pop-up came up because I did have a trailing personal daily loss limit in today. I had some profits on the day, thought I saw another trade. That trade was a losing trade, but I locked in some profits on the day. So yes, that pop-up did say I was locked out of my account because I lost money. But I made money on the day. That was good risk management, good account management. All right.
Very good. Account management versus risk management.
100%. All right. Taking a look at today's price action. What are you seeing here, Coach Paul, on the 30-minute?
A little bit of randomness last night. There wasn't much over the weekend. Drifted higher. So, but VWAP never left the first half hour's range. So very neutral overnight. Until this morning, nothing. We were still above the 200 moving average. Then the vol in New York opened up. That's really.
Uh-oh. They got rid of Coach Paul.
What happened? New York.
Oh, you're back. You disappeared for a second.
My ghost?
Yeah, you were for a second. We're back now. We're good. But like you said, that volume came in for the New York session, and we started to sell off. One of the things that I think was interesting, we looked at this candle right here during the opening call. This was from Friday. It's the candle that turned us around on Friday. I don't know if there was any news or anything like that, but we rejected right around 50% of that candle, 68.94. This was the candle that brought us back under 6,900, and just a nice rejection area today. Let's go to the 3-minute chart now and look at the New York session open. Like Coach Paul said, from that point, this was a pretty clean trade. Shout out to Mohammed in the chat. He said the market today is gross. I think after the first hour and a half, maybe, then we did have some maybe not so favorable price action, especially for the way I trade. I know I did this losing trade was trying to get long in the S&P. It got stopped out, and I said, okay, I'm done. I don't have a read on this. But the session open was pretty clean. And Coach Paul, one of the things you've been saying recently is, with it being December, coming to the end of the year, we don't know how much, allocation and positional trading we're going to see. When I hear that, the one thing I think of is get your trading done early, if you can, and then maybe stay out of the way. Unless, and you can watch the markets. I was done trading after this long trade around here. But I'm still watching the markets because they can present an opportunity, right? We know that these markets can move on anything. A headline can come out, somebody can say something. But I want to try to get these opportunities done early, especially these opening range breakout when it's such a clean trade like this, because the market may slow down towards the middle of the day coming into the holiday season. So really nice opening range breakout trade, some urgency on that trade, and we held VWAP all day.
Yeah, we did.
Anything you want to say on this shorter time frame chart here?
Yeah, but like we said, New York came in, and it wasn't even great volume, but it was the highest volume of the day until the close.
Right.
and that was on a sell. We saw that VWAP hit a nice downward structure. And like you said, if you miss something and try to force the action on days like today, you can easily lose control. So here, someone said here, I tried to force a J trade.
Yeah, Frank said
I
that.
got smoked trying to force a J trade today. Now, like any trade, a J trade is a higher probability trade, but it's not a certain trade. So I think if this is the S&P, there was a J trade right there.
Just no follow through.
No follow through. So if you take the trade, remember, this is the principles. You accept the risk, and here the risk is you should make new lows. Now, the other part of this, what can you afford? Even though it's a high probability, risk not thy whole wad on one trade. So we see that they work a large percentage of the time, but there's no certainty in it. So allow yourself to lose. Don't try it, like what you said, force yourself, force it to work. Learn from that experience. I tried almost the same trade myself.
Yep.
In the Nasdaq. Matter of fact, I did around the same time.
Yeah, we
The
got some.
loss. I move on.
We have some people in the chat saying, "What is a J trade?" I still don't understand a J trade. So what we're looking for is it's a reversal pattern, but looking for high volume. And this one, in this case, I think it was a solid trade, right? It was a solid trade idea. We had high volume. The highest volume candle we had outside of the open. If I could look at this in hindsight, and again, I'm doing this in hindsight because in real time, Coach Paul, I was thinking about taking the same exact trade you were taking. You know that, right? I think I was short. I was buying gold at the time, so I didn't take the trade. But in hindsight, I think the reason this one didn't work is because we never got the follow through to the upside, right? We never had volume leave the range to the upside. But what we're looking for is a high volume reversal, a candle close above that range, and then continuation. But if we look at VWAP, this VWAP never left the range to the upside. JD just said in the chat, think of it like a new opening range trade. It's a pivot defined by high volume. Why not take the trade at the open? VWAP left the range. Why didn't I take this trade at the open? Why didn't I take this trade at the open? I don't know. I was looking at something else. But there is another high volume reversal here that does work out. Why does this trade work and this one doesn't? Right, and this is technically not at the high or low of the day, but it is at the high extreme of this bounce here, right? We have this New York session VWAP, high volume into that VWAP. This was off that NVIDIA news. And we've seen what news does to these markets. These headlines come out, Coach Paul. They give us 5 seconds of volatility and then immediate reversal. And high volume right into VWAP. We close below it. And now this is one that does work because that flow continues to the downside, right? We can see this VWAP here leaving that range to the downside, but nothing is 100%. Do you use the 3-minute or does it work on other time frames like the 5-minute? I use the 3-minute personally, but you could use whatever time frame works for you. It's just a high volume reversal.
Good question. It did leave early. The market did. It left early. There was urgency.
Yep.
I did take it in the Rusty.
You did take the opening range share. You did. That is right.
And it had some urgency.
Yeah.
That J trade in the S&P or the NASDAQ, I'll take again.
Yep.
And actually, after that, I stopped trading. Basically, scratched in the equities.
Nice. It's a good call, right? You take the setup and you understand that there's a probability of the time it's not going to work. That's why we measure risk, and then you go from there. I think what happens is when I think that there's when I don't think of a reality where this trade doesn't work is where I get in trouble, right? There should not be a reality where this trade doesn't work, and if it doesn't work, then I'm just gonna take it again, or I'm gonna over leverage. That's where we get in trouble, right? Anything we see as high probability is not 100%, and that's why we manage risk. I know why I didn't take that short. And this is not an excuse, but legitimately, I was waking up the first 30 minutes of the day. We do that.
Had a good weekend, huh?
Yeah, it was a good weekend. I had a drive this morning, a 3-hour drive this morning, and we do that daily checklist, right, with Hogue every morning, and the mindset check is one of them. And I was just a little slow on reading and execution and getting everything ready for the day, so I didn't take the trade. I think realizing that and then not trying to chase is ideally where I should be. I think I said it to you this morning, Coach Paul. I was just like, I had a long weekend. I don't know if I'm executing the best today. So it took me a little bit to get into the flow of the market. Anything else
You
you want
said that with a yawn.
yeah, right. Yeah. Coach Paul and I were talking this morning, and first thing we get on call, and I yawn. I'm like, oh, my bad. And he's just like, oh, you had a good weekend. I'm like, yeah, this might be an interesting trading day. And I think that awareness as a trader, and maybe not trying to fight through it. I took this stop out on this trade, and I went to take a nap afterwards, right? Because I have to catch back up. I know I got to do slow markets tonight. Got to do this show, and want to be mentally in a space where I'm executing well for slow markets. So that awareness as a trader is important. Sometimes you can try to fight through it, but then do you make questionable decisions when you try to fight through it? You could almost maybe even call that S&P long. I took a questionable decision, but we won't talk about that one. Anything else you got to talk about on the equities, Coach Paul?
No, I think more of it tomorrow.
Yep.
Just stay with it. My advice is, and if you're just trading equities, be really patient. There's whatever your plan is or your edge is, execute it. It might not show up. And if you don't trade, don't feel like you have to trade. I think that boredom, that's the boredom, will come in. You see hardworking people.
Yeah.
You feel like, well, I got to do something.
I'm not doing anything right.
If it's not there, you're doing the right thing. If you're bored, you're doing the right thing.
Yep.
So I can't say it enough. This is where in December's where really you get weeded out between the disciplined and undisciplined. Don't chase.
Yeah. What I'd be watching tomorrow, Tape Bomb just hit. I didn't see anything. Something is markets are moving a little bit here. I have informed China's President Xi that the United States will allow NVIDIA to ship its H200 products to approved customers in China. 25% will be paid to the U.S. That just came from the president. So I think we heard earlier that this was going to be allowed. Maybe the 25% paid to the U.S. is the kicker there. U.S. to apply the same approach to AMD, Intel on chips to China. So 25% of all sales of NVIDIA chips to China will be paid to the U.S. is what it sounds like. So I don't think that's new news. I think the algos probably just caught on to Trump, China, NVIDIA percentage, and low liquidity. We're going to see things move around a little bit, but that was that headline there.
Low liquidity was a key phrase there.
Yeah, not a lot of volume trading right now. Lock Wayman says, listening to you this morning with Hogue, you predicted the ES to go down to the 30-minute 200 moving average. That's on point, my brother. I mean, that is just repeated analysis day in and day out. I got to thank Coach Paul for the 200 moving average. And so, you know, it being on point or not, I think if we listen to that opening call, what we really do is make a case for either side and then see which one the market presents, right? The 200 moving average wasn't even the low of the day, right? So my prediction, sure, it was good for half the trade, but you know, somebody could have had a level that was much lower. But I think the analysis of, hey, we've had the same day 5 days in a row now.
Yeah.
Right? Like and that's when we say patterns are patterns until they break. This has been the same pattern for the past 5 trading days. Quiet overnight session, maybe a little bit of a rally. If we open up at the upper extreme of the range, we see a sell-off before we rally back into it. And it's just reading the flow of the market, which is really not going anywhere. So like Coach Paul was just saying, right, if you're trading the equities, be patient because there are opportunities in it. But if you're somewhere in the middle where the market's not really doing anything, it's because the market's not really doing anything, right? And, you know, we could be trying to force opportunities in ranges where they're not there. But then you miss the really clean trade at the extremes where there is that opportunity. Anything else you got on the equities?
No, I'm going to push anything. We just said it's the same trade almost every day for the last 5 days.
Yep. What I will be looking at tomorrow, and JJ just said it, looks like the 200 could reject now and get ugly. So now we're closing below this 200 moving average on the 30-minute, right? That's
Good
a little
point.
different. Volume trading below it. This now is this now the potential for resistance up here? If we trade up above this 200 moving average now and there's no volume there, do we fall back into the range? So good point, JJ. And if that's the case, there may be some room lower.
Yeah, it's showing a weakness. We haven't done that for a week. On the close, it's closed on a half hour, but on the day, it's closed solidly underneath.
Yep.
That's a good point. What is the 20-day moving average?
67.81. About 90 points off of where we are right now.
Yeah, we're still pretty solid.
Yeah.
But the buying is really one of the things I see in that is the buying fever has really stopped.
Yep. Until they get another reason to buy it, like 25% of NVIDIA sales going to the U.S. All right, let's take a look then at gold. What are we seeing here in gold that we haven't talked about already? This is a very range-bound market. What are you seeing here, Coach Paul?
Home on the range.
Yep.
And more continued. Hate to beat a dead horse. By the way, I've never beat a dead horse, but or a dead gold, but much the same. And like I said, my expectation, a chart like this is going to continue through the end of December. I see no case that someone's going to just jump in towards the end of December to load up on gold or exit. So we had a very tight range, and that's to be expected.
Yes, it was. Yeah, just very range bound. My profits from the day did come from trading gold, but I had to go with reasonable expectations for trading gold. I was short last night, and I wanted 4180s, but the market didn't. So I had to take my profits. And then I got long because I saw the market didn't want to continue to sell off, and I could have wanted 4282, but the market didn't. So I have to trade what the market is saying. Let's take a look at the 30-minute chart here in gold. One of the reasons I got short was the 200 moving average on the 30-minute chart. So let's take a look at that. All right, so we opened up last night, and we have similar to what we were just talking about in the equities, right? So Friday, we closed the day under the 200 moving average on the 30-minute. Last night, we open up and we trade up to it. We have price advertising to that 200 moving average, but volume is lower. My first short was against that 200 moving average here, looking for the market to break down. But again, no flow to the downside, had to cut that trade. But really, the trade was based on this. Anything you want to say about this 30-minute chart here, Coach Paul?
Well, one thing you notice, the VWAP. Do you have session VWAP?
Yeah, that's that red line there.
That is, their session VWAP
Yeah.
never went above the 200.
Right.
It's something to watch. The price can, but VWAP didn't. So it had a burden. And the burden was there wasn't big buying
Right.
to rescue it. So that's still a tough trade to me. And notice we're just not recovering from that big candle on Friday.
This one. Yeah. That was right after that test of that 50% of the, what was it, November?
50%.
I forgot the date. What day was it? October 21st. 50% of the October 21st candle, 42.82. We rejected right at 50% of that. And that was the sell-off Friday, Coach Paul was just talking about. And then just more continuation of that today. So what I would look for personally in gold here is I would frame out this 30-minute candle that was 10 a.m. Eastern time, 9 a.m. Central. I would frame that out. The high of the candle, 42.26, the low, 42.04. That became the range for the rest of the day. And the reason I took a long, I think I got long from 42.07 and out of the trade at 42.21 because this candle had the potential, and we were talking about this one as well, Coach Paul, had the potential to be a J trade on the daily if we closed above those 26s. But if we look at it again, what is the flow? From the time that candle printed, that VWAP is a flat line, which tells us range, right? So I didn't take the initial, right? This initial sell-off, I don't want to try to buy this because I don't know when that's going to stop. But when that volume calms down and we establish a range, when we come back down here and test, this, I had a wider stop than 3 points, but really the point of invalidation is making a new low on the day. And it just never traded down there. So I would frame out this candle on the 30-minute to see how we respond tomorrow. Anything else you have here, Coach Paul?
Nothing else. What about silver?
Let's take a look at silver. Silver was kind of interesting today as well. Let me get to a question real quick before we get to silver. Day before FOMC tomorrow, what is expected from price action on equities and gold chop range bound? Personally, I don't want to say that yes, it's going to be range bound. Is it a higher probability from my experience that we don't see huge directional moves? Maybe, but I've also been surprised at thinking that, right? So the expected price action, I don't know that I would say there is one. I think I kind of want to just say, I don't know. What would you say there, Coach Paul?
You said two things. I don't know.
Right.
And I don't know. Now, what is the market expectation? To be volatile.
Right.
We talk about on these big days, sometimes the best thing to do is not trade it. Because it gets really vicious. Here's anything, big market makers pare back their size, and other market participants decide, I'm not playing that. And what happens? It thins out.
Yep.
So my expectation is going to be some sharp move and then probably die out after. But that's my expectation. Don't get caught on your expectation that the market needs to respect your expectation.
Right. Man.
That's why over the years I really had to do it because I thought I knew. I just had to figure it out. But What you can do is, if you want to do it, look for an edge that you can trade. That's up to you. That's the only thing you can trade, you can control. If you're new, I think the best advice is you don't have to trade that day.
Agreed.
I'd go back. I would love to do this study of how much money is lost on Fed Day versus how much is made.
Yeah. Or pre-Fed day, right? And I think that's what
Yeah.
AgTrade was talking about. Like what happens on the day before the Fed? Because honestly, for me, it's starting tomorrow night or it's starting tonight into everything before that Fed rate decision. I'm expecting range and chop. It could do something different, and then I'll just be prepared. But I'm not super. And then honestly, looking at the charts, there isn't anything. You guys have been watching the show for a long time. Sometimes we pull up a chart, and Coach Paul will have this reaction. We'll pull up like a random currency chart, and he'll go, "Oh, look at that," and then we trade it the next day, or he'll trade it the next day. I'm not seeing that in any of these charts right now, right? These charts look like, I got to go to work today. Right?
Yeah.
That's what these charts look like right now. And if we try to make some of these days the biggest trading days of our careers or of the year and things like that, you could get in trouble because I personally just don't see the opportunity. That doesn't mean you can't trade though, right? But you just have to have the reasonable expectations for those trades. Looks like combine killers. With knowing that, just be patient, right? Can you squeeze a couple of dollars out of these ranges? Absolutely, right? I show up every day looking to place a trade if the market presents it, but I'm not going to force the market to do anything, and I think that's what we're kind of talking about here. Here's silver, Coach Paul, on a daily. In a range.
And it's in a range.
In a range. What does look nice on the daily is this kind of a flagging pattern. I'm looking at, and we talked about this last week, right? This high volume at this high has set a range for now, right? So could silver base here for a little bit? It could. We're right, and we're doing it right below that $60 level. Big fat round number. It's not going to be an easy one to run through. So not surprised to see a little bit of basing before we continue to climb, if we continue to climb. If I was trading silver and I want to get long, I'm probably going to look personally to do it somewhere near the lower extreme of this range. If it holds, I kind of want to stay out of the middle because we see what that looks like, right? It's kind of indecisive. And then if you're getting long and there's no flow to the upside, that upper extreme near that $60 level, we've seen some strong rejections up there. Let's take a look at the 30-minute. Are you seeing anything different here on the 30-minute, Coach Paul?
Today,
Yeah.
No, I see the 200 flattening out. That it's a concern, but it's like I said, it's going to flatten out when we go into sideways action. This bears out the whole theme about there's not much going on,
Right.
and it'll continue that way. We said we traded both sides of the 200.
Yep.
All day.
Yes, we did. That opening candle did set the high of the day. One of the things I think we talked about last Friday was framing out the high volume candle. And I do this every day, guys. My VIPs one day, Coach Paul, they asked me to show them my pre-market analysis. And more often than not, it's find where the 200 moving average is on the 30-minute, find the highest volume, and then that's it. And it could be more than that, but it doesn't really need to be, right? This candle was the highest volume.
Does it really need to be?
No, it doesn't really need to be more than that. We rejected right at 50% of it. And then and the reason that I would say it doesn't really need to be is because unfortunately, I can't trade this, right? We have to trade the developing market, right? So it's really more about what is the flow saying for the day. Coach Paul, you're a basketball coach, right? You have a set game plan going into a game, you can run plays, you have a set of plays, you have a sets of plays that you can run. But if you're playing against a team, maybe a team you've played before or never played before, once the game starts, you have to identify what it takes to win that game that day, right? Where what might have worked the day before, we see it with NBA teams, right? When they play a series in the playoffs. That's why it's so difficult to win a playoff series, because what may have worked, your opponent can make adjustments and things like that. So what does it take to win this game today? And that's really why, hey, I can prep some levels, but I have to read what it's going to do today, because that's what we get paid on.
That's a great point, and it's a great analogy, because we never get, no matter what, we do not get full information. We
Right.
get partial or fragmented.
Right.
And in a game, in a basketball game, you can have a plan, and things change.
Yeah.
You don't know your shooter hot.
Yep.
Okay, now that's good, but now we have an injury. Whatever it is, you have to keep in the flow.
Yep. And be ready to adjust.
That's where prediction can really, or have an opinion or an expectation, can really mentally drain you into making bad decisions, or trying, what is it called? Forcing the action.
Yep.
So even on this day, if you're trading silver and it's not doing what you can either not be, you can lose money. It's fine. It's part of the game. What you can't do is lose more money than you can afford.
Right.
And that can happen in sideways days. At least for me, some of my worst days were sideways days.
Mine too. And look at all my trade executions, and it's right in the middle. No executions near the extremes. No executions near the extremes, all in the middle. Friend here saying bullshit, market manipulation. If you consider it that, then yeah. I try not to think of market manipulation too much. Frames my trades the wrong way. Are these markets manipulated? They probably are. But if we're going to execute in that environment, it's what we got to do. It's what we have to do. All right, let's take a look then at crude oil. Had an interesting day today in crude.
Yeah, it did.
Quietly, one of the biggest percentage movers on the day, down 2%, and still trading like a range-bound market. We looked above $60 on Friday, fell right back through the range. We took out almost 3 days of price action. Anything different you're seeing here on the daily chart?
Much the same. What is that price? So we in that range. We're still under the 200.
Yep.
We rallied towards it, and we had a chance. And once we broke Friday's low, it just picked up steam. This is all on light volume. But nothing's changed overall in crude. I mean, there's talk all we want. Let's look at the half hour.
Take a look at the half an hour. Bullet traders, I like that comment there. Here's the half an hour. Nice trade here.
Yeah, let's anchor that VWAP. Never leaves the range, but we see this often. Asia, there's no urgency. Asia really doesn't move the crude oil market, especially WTI crude, which is U.S. crude. Now, let's look at London.
Completely different story. Completely different story. Time of day is a level. Time of day is a level, right? Where we talk about the metals, that 8 p.m. Eastern time, 7 p.m. Central time, when the volume comes in for Shanghai, is when things start moving. If I'm looking at a crude oil chart, and maybe I'm a levels trader, right, Coach Paul? And I say, hey,
Yep.
I want to sell it above 60.20, and I'm just going to leave it. And I'm going to walk away, and I have my targets, I have my stops, and just leave it from there. But if you're going to sit and actively watch, and I know a lot of our traders do this, that was 9 hours before this market went anywhere.
Wow.
But if you look at when the flow started, it is during that London session, like you just pointed out, and that's a completely different trade. Timing and location.
So let's say again, if you're in Europe, you had a good opportunity. Let's say you wake up and you live in New York, and you wait for the 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock Eastern time. What do we see from there? So if we just start from there. Is there
From the New York
anything
session?
in that chart? Yeah, from the NYMEX open.
I'm going to go down to a shorter time frame chart. Let's look at a 5 minute, since we look at 5 minute opening range trades for the house account. Here is that open here.
So on the U.S. Open, we had what? Continuation. But we had no urgency after that because we're already. So knowing that, I mean, you've got some information. And and to me, that information that it's given me is this is not a great place to trade right now. It's already the average true range on a daily is most likely already been hit. Now, if you want to go shorter term and trade a range, if you're good at that, you probably had opportunity, but still it's limited opportunity. From a probabilistic point of view, unless you have to play. Here's the thing with some of these markets that are in this state. Most of the players in there have to trade it.
Yep. It's a great.
It's one of the things we don't talk about, and I'm glad you brought it because it brings it up, is manipulation.
Yeah.
So, one of the things we don't speak a lot of are the players that are always in there. Who are they? People in the oil business.
Right. End users, producers.
They're the biggest users of the market.
The people where the price of this market actually affects their business. The only thing it affects for us is, do I make a profit or loss on the day? For most of us.
Right.
For most of us. I mean.
I ran a large, in a grain room for a large grain operation. It was 800 grain elevator operators. So they get grain elevators, buy grain from farmers.
Yep.
And they charge them to store it. And they try and sell it from there. But as soon as in our bid, we had 800 grain elevator operators from the Eastern Corn Belt through the Western Corn Belt. We were one of, at times, we were the largest open interest on the floor of the board trade. Guess what we do? We sell. There's no grain elevator that's speccing the upside of grain prices. They're hedging. So there's days where, 99% of our open interest was short.
Yep.
So it would look like one of the locals used to tell us, he goes, in a bear market, he's like, you guys are deaf. Why? The market's moving down and all the grain hedgers are just selling. And if you're on the other side of that, you feel like they're manipulating you.
Right.
When they're just doing their business.
Yep. Yeah.
So really, at the end of the day, it's buyers versus sellers that are end users and producers. It's a little different in equities, but it's still the same thing.
Yeah.
So on days like this really sticks out on a day like today. We think it might be just big traders. Here's big traders and market makers are not speculating, and they're not trading for extension. They're taking the other side of trades and trying to get between the bark and the tree. That's their business. So to keep that in mind when you think of markets, buyers and sellers, and that's the commercial side. Like Landman, great show, by the way. I just started watching the second season, and they talk about it. They put in the news, and what prices are doing, where it directly affects producers. Price does. So let's not forget, and some of this is that the big, sometimes I put on a tin hat. It's the big bad bear that's going against my decision. There's the largest traders are the users of that market. We're here to catch a piece of it.
100%.
I'll
For our friend Muhyiddin in the chat says, well, first you started off with 90% of traders fail. Now you're at 98% of traders fail. I just had to do a quick Google search. How many small businesses fail in their first 5 years? This is not trading related at all. In the first year, 79% survival rate. If we get to year 10, to 34% survival rate. So if you say trading is not a business, depends on how you treat it, right? If you treat your trading like a business, maybe there is a higher probability of succeeding. But I don't think there's anything in the world that has a 100% success rate. So what we're here to talk about is how to maybe place the odds in your favor. But yeah, is there a large, a small win rate? Yeah, JD, I know he's a troll. So here's how you deal with trolls, right? You give them water, and then you say, please, go on from there. But if there is a high win rate, and this is for anybody who's not trolling it, and you hear that, what can I do to put the odds in my favor, right? And now I'm speaking to anyone who joins us every day here. If I hear about this high win rate all the time, what can I do, if anything, to put the odds of me being a success here as have better probabilities for me being a success here? And it's not a guarantee, but that's what we should focus on, right? You know what else is also a high rate of failure? Youth sports. Everyone's kid plays a sport, right? What do you measure as failure? If I don't make it to the NBA, am I a failure as a basketball player?
I don't
high failure rate there, right? If that's the measure, high failure rate. But everyone's kid plays a sport. Everyone buys their kid the new, whoever sneakers and says, hey, pick up this basketball. You're 5'1", but you're gonna be as good as Shaquille O'Neal. It's like, no, that's not real. But there are Bullet Trader says marriage has a high rate of failure. There are a bunch of things that we do in life in general that have high rates of failure. Does that mean that we should just not do anything? Name something that has a 100% win rate. That's a positive. I could think of some things that have 100% win rates that are final, but anything that, yeah, you get my point there. So if that's what you're saying, and that means you don't want to trade, then don't, right? But I also think that everyone, and we've talked about this before, everyone should have a definition of what success looks like for them in their own trading. If someone else's success is to run a hedge fund and your success is to make a couple $100 or $1,000 extra on a year, everyone has a different measure and should have a different measure of success, right? We've talked about this for our continued viewers a lot. My measuring, if I love the game of basketball, right? I've coached it. I love to play basketball, but no one's ever going to pay me to play basketball. Am I a failure because of that? I play basketball at least 2 or 3 times a week. And to me, that's a success that I can still do it day in and day out. So define what success means for you and not anyone else's definition. But thanks for joining. Thanks for joining. Hey, sometimes, you got to, I might clip that up. Gave me some content to put on my Instagram page. All right, let's take a look at natural gas.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
Oh, no problem. Let's look at natural gas here, Coach Paul. This was a failure to stay above $5. It had a 100% failure rate of staying above $5 today. What do you see on this
Today.
natural gas chart?
Well, you said from that we just had a break. After this big rally within the trend, decent volume on the break though.
Yeah.
Now we're going to talk about the roll. It's rolling from D's to Jan, and this is Jan?
This
It's
is
Jan.
F. Yeah, Jen. Yep.
But just looking at that chart, go back, test the 200. Got a little ahead of ourselves, but still in a nice rallying mode. But let's look at a trend line from the lows. And boy, that intersects what two white lines intersecting.
Right.
I would have to say that's the support. Oh, one thing is here though. This is there was a gap the Sunday night gap that didn't get filled, so that's going to be something that's going to have to be taken out for it to recover, and still a friendly chart.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I think we talked about this one on Friday, right? With that candle, that Friday daily candle being the second highest volume we've seen all year. And at one point, I think it was a 10% move to the upside, not being surprised at a little bit of a pullback here. And then you look to the left, you can see where we rejected, right? So we'll see. That 200 moving average on the daily, interesting spot here. We did have this gap down. Be careful holding any positions in this over the weekends because that's a big gap there. But yeah, interesting stuff here in natural gas.
And you can see VWAP never left that.
To the
we
upside.
tried to go recover the gap.
Yep. I think we got halfway through.
Didn't take volume, and then when it got back under after that, when it closed under VWAP, that was the sell.
Yep.
Why? Because they tried. I mean, it wasn't on very big volume either. Actually, at night, let's blow that up a little, especially at night. So we saw that big buying. That was a J trade on the buy side.
Yes, it was. What Coach Paul is talking about here. Yeah, go ahead, Coach Paul. Explain it.
Yeah, so we had a gap down, made the low on the first half an hour, and then we had the attempt to go close that gap, buy the dips. Let's see if these buyers can take it up, or to find where did the buyers fail. So last night, that was the biggest volume, and that was pretty big for a night session. What time was that? Like midnight?
That was 11:30 Eastern, so 10:30 Central.
And so there was buying. I mean, it was big. It was the biggest volume,
right,
besides the opening. Broke out of the range, but we see VWAP didn't follow. So at this point, these buyers really have the burden.
Yep.
And then how does it? But the buying exhausted. It exhausted itself. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't push the natural gas up to fill the gap. Where do they fail? Well, underneath that low of that candle.
Yep. Right back below VWAP, and that was a hell of a trade. Anyone catch this natural gas, any piece of this natural gas move? Man, what a trade. That closed below the low of that high volume. I don't know why these trades are so much easier to see to the buy side. Right? If I flip this chart over, I think I'd quickly identify this as a reversal.
Hey, that's true.
But we always see them the other way. But this is a pretty clean sell here. And again, set the high for the rest of the day. I want to stay married so I don't trade natural gas. Get with the trend. Get with the trend, and you could. I'm not gonna give financial or Marital advice.
Marriage advice.
Right. All right. Let's. Anything else you got on natural gas, or do we want to move on? We got some requests for Bitcoin, as well as the
Bitcoin.
Treasury market.
Let's go Bitcoin. Oh boy,
Oh.
I'm going to get some grief for that.
Right.
Bitcoin coin.
Maui man,
All
you have
right,
a good one. Go ahead. Yeah. What are you saying here?
let's look at the daily. We still rejected the 20-day moving average. Again, once again,
Right at the high.
can't clear that hurdle. Still looks heavy, but we have a J trade still holding. There's a J trade on the lows of the move. What is that? 2 to 3 times the average volume into the lows that have held. So I'm still not unfriendly to this market.
Yeah.
Although I'd really like to see it close above the 20 moving average on the daily.
Agreed.
Let's look at last night's action.
The 50-day just crossed below the 200 a couple of days
Yeah.
ago as well. Let's take a look at the 30. Actually, I'm going to just put this back on here for a second.
Mark that out.
All right.
All right. Let's frame out the first half an hour. What? Okay. Looking at the first half an hour, let's ask our audience. What do you call that?
What did we get here to start the day in Bitcoin? Let's see who's been paying attention.
In Bitcoin on the opening half an hour,
They know
what
it.
did we
They
get?
know it. Somebody knows it.
Bueller. It's urgent that you tell us.
There it is.
Urgency.
There it is. There it is.
Dante, Courtney.
Yep. Yeah, so really nice open here. Right above, we opened right below that 90,000 level, right? Big fat round number. 90,000 right here. And volume never trading below it. So really nice push up until, we see some failed selling here above the 200 moving average. But pushing into that 20-day, I would keep that 20. If I'm trading Bitcoin, I think you kind of have to keep that 20-day moving average on your charts. It's a line in the sand that has been a moving target as far as resistance goes, and it's just moving to the downside. Right, go back out to that daily and pull up that 20 moving average. Look at how many days we've rejected right at that high. So although on a shorter time frame, looking at the 30-minute, we did have that push up. Where is this most likely to fail? Where it's failed prior times, right? And against that 200-day. So we did have some nice movement, Coach Paul, above the 200 on the 30, even if volume didn't go with it. Where this is where we say all the time, if I just shorted off this 200 moving average because it's the 200 moving average, I have a trade that goes 1.5% against me before it turns around, right? So having a general idea of what should happen and then actually seeing a setup for it, two different things, right? Playbook-wise, there really wasn't anything that said short this up here.
Also, you know what? Good comment here by Ag Trader.
Okay.
With micro Bitcoin, it is traded all day, all weekend, 24/7. Do we really want to use the opening hour or half hour? It doesn't even have heavy volume. It's a great comment. Now, but we have futures. And by the way, Bitcoin trades more volume when the futures market is open. They have market makers now that have leverage. But either there, you are correct. But what did we see? We see that we saw a gap down in natural gas, and we measured it. but there was no urgency in natural gas.
Right.
So here we had urgency. So we held that gap, and then we had buying above it. The philosophy is, what's the risk here? New lows.
Right.
And the risk was $125. By the way, but Bitcoin you can trade 2-3 Bitcoin and it's moving.
Yeah.
It's not little, it's decent risk. But that's looking at that urgency. And actually, I didn't mean to talk. This was the only trade I took last night.
Nice. And you
Uh,
re-listen
if
to what
it was
Coach
a
Paul just said if
sell,
you didn't catch that. Go ahead, Coach Paul.
I probably would have done twice as much.
Right.
And measuring in units. So I did 1 unit of risk on the buy side. I think if it was a sell, I would have taken 2 units of sell. But just reading the flow.
It got started early.
Yeah.
It got started. And it was some decent volume in that 30-minute. It wasn't it definitely wasn't the biggest volume that we had, but JM just said it, right? This trade is significant because of the urgency. And if something isn't urgent, that might mean it's time to wait for the volume, similar to what we just saw in natural gas.
We went right back to that low and
Right back to it.
couldn't go through it.
It never
so
took
it
it
held
out.
that gap, weekend gap.
Somebody's buying it. Somebody's
Kinda
buying it down
friendly.
here. Yeah, I agree.
Did we get a J trade on the close?
Uh,
A little late, took a little time. That's
Little
big
late.
selling. It wasn't the low of the day. So, no.
No. Nope. All right. Let's take a look. We got, it's Fed week. We got some requests for some of the Treasury products that had an interesting day today. We heard Jack may be doing a bond class if we get, well, not if, when we get to 200,000 subscribers. So do what you can. Tell your friends and family to like and subscribe as well. When we get to 200,000 subscribers, Jack did agree to do a bond class to teach us all about the bond market. What are you seeing here on the daily, Coach Paul, on the 30?
Well, we hit the white line.
Yep.
And we're fading. Picking up some momentum to the downside, but the range is, look at the volume in the bonds.
Yeah.
It's scattered. I've quit trading the treasuries. And I've been trading them for a long time. We'll see what happens when we get under the 200. But in the last 3 days, we had a little bit of a trend. Today, we picked up a little steam,
Yeah.
but there's no trend here.
No.
For me, and we're still holding. What is the April?
Yeah, April. Yep, April 7th. We just closed outside of that candle, but yeah, that high volume.
That high volume. But look at, we went to halfway.
Yep.
We're at the bottom of it. I find it's really hard to trade right now, especially coming out in front of FOMC.
Right. I think a lot of people were surprised maybe at this sell-off that we had before the Fed decision, right?
Yeah.
Why are we seeing this market move before? I'm not even going to pretend to be an economist or know much about the Treasury markets other than they're a chart, and if you trade with chart patterns, you can trade them. So we are holding the 20 moving average on the 30-minute over the past couple of days, but again, I agree with Coach Paul. Not something that I've looked at to trade. Maybe Wednesday on Fed day, but probably not.
Let's look at what happened last night. Frame out the first half an hour. See if VWAP got over. Something tells me it didn't. It did.
It looked above. Yeah. Yep.
Let's look at the 10-year.
This is a 10-year. This is a 10-year. I
Okay,
switched it.
that's
Yeah.
even worse. Yeah, I am. Now, I'm not ruling out. You can trade that if you have. You have to have patience. You really have to have
Yeah.
having patience. Let's look at it. Okay, now when it opens up around 7 o'clock Central Time, that's when the volume. So let's mark that half hour, or even a 5 minute from 7 o'clock.
There you go.
All right, that's what the open. 7:20 used to be official open
And you're
when
talking
I
about
had hair
PM,
and
right?
men were men. Huh?
PM, correct?
Oh no, AM.
Oh, AM. Oh, my bad. Let's go. Sorry about that. 7:30?
7. Let's go 7. Well, the official open is 7:20.
7:20, same time as gold. There you go. Okay. Now we got it.
All right.
There you go.
So we just put it to that where volume comes in. That's where there was urgency there.
That could be a good trade. Another market that if you can trade it with reasonable size, it's not going to blow your account. You might have to wait a long time for trades to play out. But if you're trading a 5-year, the 10-year, this whole move right here is probably $400, maybe a little bit more.
Yeah. So key point is here is trade the U.S. hours. Do not trade overnight if you're going to trade bonds or treasuries. 7 o'clock, between 7 o'clock, 7:30. 7:20 is the official open, and that really came from the pit. And they have been closed since I had hair. It's a long time ago. But this is another thing with volume. Wait for the volume. The 7:20 open.
Right.
Go for it.
Good stuff. All right. Okay. So JJ, and we are above time right now, but I'm gonna get to this question because I said I would. Could you discuss using stop loss entries to add to winning trades? I like to set a limit order at a stop to add. Which is first, I cancel the other. Yeah. So I actually tried to do that in my gold trade today. So here's the thing. I'm only ever thinking about adding to trades if I think there's more room up, right? If I don't think there's more room up and I'm in a range trade, the last thing I want to do is add to a trade and bring my average up, right? So in this case, I bought gold and I actually thought there was some more room up in gold. I thought there was probably room up to 42.40. So the way I'm going to trade this is I got long initially at 42.07. $42.07. Right now I have, and I told you I took off profit at 42.21. So the way I personally like to add to a trade is I want to assume that there's more room up, right? So I'm looking for the market to kind of trade through this candle here, but I don't want to ruin the average on the trade, right? So if I'm adding to a trade, at no point for me personally is it going to turn into a losing trade, or it shouldn't turn into a losing trade. So I have to have a level where I say, even if I add to this, if it comes back here and stops me out, then great. I'll just be wrong on that add. So what I would likely do, and what I did on this trade, was I had a couple contracts on, took profit on the way up on some of them, had a one lot left here, and then on this pullback, this is now my new area of invalidation for this trade if I'm going to add to it. And now I set I don't think it's going to let me do it. I would set a stop buy above this break here. So you see this failed selling here, this candle right here. My stop buy personally would go above that high. And now this is my low. But again, on the full position, I'm not going to take a loss. So what we got was about a 50% pullback of the move that I was in. This is where sellers showed that they were going to stop selling it for this move. And now my buy stop is going to go above here for another push to the upside if I assume that there's more room up. My assumption was wrong here. Excuse me, my assumption was wrong here. We turned into a range bound market. So I did get stopped out on the rest of that position. Still a winning trade, but technically a loss on the ad because, you know, we never really got any favorable price action for what I was looking for. But the last thing I want to do is I never want to be in a position where if I'm adding, especially if I'm already in a winner, and I've done this before, and the reason I say I don't want to do it, personally, it hasn't worked for me. If I'm in a one lot and I think, oh man, if I was in 5, this could be a way bigger winner, and I'm adding to 5, let's say I'm adding up to 5, when the market's already gone in my favor, that trade usually turns up to be a loser, right? So for me, key concept in adding to a trade is if I'm adding to a winner, I don't want it to be a loser at any point. Coach Paul, do you add to trades at all? Have you ever any experience with doing it?
I used to do it all the time.
Yeah.
I don't do it now, especially with day trading. What I will do is if I see a trade I like an urgency trade,
Yep.
I'll do multiple units of risk.
Right.
And then I want to get that up front. But it's a tough, first of all, to do that, have a process that you're successful in already.
Yep. Yep.
But
it's a great point. JD just
remember,
said, yeah, go ahead, Coach Paul.
And actually, check Tom Hugard does a whole section on that. I would look at him.
Yeah.
I don't do it anymore. I just put more on and trades that I'm looking at, and I'd rather get in there.
Yeah. Comment in the chat says ads are a whole separate trade. If you wouldn't get in there, it's not a good ad. And I think that's such a great point. You just said it, Coach Paul, right? Add to something that you're already successful at. If the only reason I'm adding is because I could make more money, it's probably not a great reason to take the trade, right? I could have had more if I had more on. You could, but you could also give back all the profits that you had trying to add, you know, a monetary focus. Obviously, trading is monetary focused, right? Yes, we are trading to make money. Surprise, surprise. But if it's the only thing on my mind when I'm taking a trade, it's probably not a great decision.
Yeah, and also it's harder to put. You're going to have more size, and your variance is going to change. And if you're staring at your P&L,
yeah,
I would ease into it.
Agreed.
If you're going to do it in your practice account so you know what to expect. And it'll, if you're not used to it, what were $100 swings, they're now 200, 300.
Yep. Agreed. All right. I think that's it. We are above time. We're over time. And I think this was a good session. Thank you all for joining. All of you for joining. Your contributions to this show help us continue to run this show, whether you're trolling or not. We see you out there. Coach Paul, anything you want to say before we go for the day?
I just add to what you just said. We have a great audience and they contribute. Please continue to do that. That adds to the show. And our regulars do a great job. So thank you. And we'll talk again tomorrow.
Awesome stuff. Hit that thumbs up button if you haven't done so already. We have Coach Hoop doing a class in Discord in about a half an hour. And then after him, Coach Ray and Coach Vince. Coach Dakota with Slow Markets tonight, 7:30 Central Time. I'll be joining him for Slow Markets. Aaron with the London Open, D with the Euro Trade. And then we're back for the opening call tomorrow morning, 8:15 Eastern, 7:15 Central Time. Trade well, everybody. Manage your risk. And we will see you all tomorrow. Bye.